Hello and welcome to my interview with Todd Blackadder. This is just the highlights of the interview. Make sure you check out my blog, Shore Sport Report, for the full interview. Enjoy. So, how would you say the season has gone so far?
But like my school report, there's plenty to work on. I'd say it's been a bit of a mixed bag. I say that because of the inconsistency of our season. There are lots of reasons for that though.
What are those reasons?
I think we've been massively impacted by injuries. The other thing is that we've put in a new attack structure, which takes a little bit of time to beat in. The other thing that's really affected us, as well as the injuries, we've had 14 Friday night games. So what that really means is that when you're impacted by injuries, that means you can't properly train on a Monday because, and also too with the internationals going back and forth, and the impact of the injuries means that we actually have only really had at times 23 or 24 players. And if half of them are injured and they're not coming right till Wednesday, you only get one day to train. Captains run Thursday, play Friday, and that's the cycle of death that we've been on. So
Yeah.
we've almost had like a perfect storm, which actually hasn't helped.
I think at one point there was a full 15 you could have picked just out of the players that were injured at one point. So
Yeah, we've had a lot of long-term injured guys coming back, and what happens with long-term injury guys coming back? They actually take a couple of weeks to get into the
get
groove
match
again,
fit
get
and
match fit and perform. And unfortunately, we don't. We've got A-League and there's a little bit of Anglo-Welsh, but we really haven't had a platform where you can bring guys back to play to perform. And like a classic case is Ross Batty was out for so long, he came back and he was just starting to find some form and he got re-injured again. Henry Thomas came back, really struggled to get. It's all right being fit and available, but our job is to perform, and it took a while. And then he sort of had his best game, and then he injured himself again.
yeah.
And Tommy Ellis is another guy who he's been out for 9 months. He's come back, sort of. He hasn't injured himself again, but he's just struggling to get into the groove. Zach Ness is another one. Like he's injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came back and played really well. I mean, the impact of the internationals. I think we lose him for 11 games of the year, and then we've Reese out, Taurus Hanley out for 10 weeks, and we've had injuries to halfback. So like if you actually look at it, it'll all make sense. But
Yeah.
every week we prepare a team to win, and to me, I still think that we should have been. We should. There's a couple of really tight games at the start that probably have had a massive impact now, and that's the Newcastle game
Away
and
or
the one at home where
okay.
we lost by 1 point,
Yeah.
and then the Gloucester game where we had both those games in the bag in the last minutes and lost, and that's 8 to 9 points.
Yeah.
There's a massive impact at this time of the year.
You mentioned that Reece Priestland had been out injured, and I wondered, as they're both sort of back fit now with Freddie Burns as well, who is the first choice fly half at Bath?
Yeah, it's interesting because every week those guys are in a duel to be the very best, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I just think at the moment, just with the framework, I think they're both really class players, and there's not a lot between them all. Um, but I just think probably the rub of the green so far is probably, it's not that Freddie's not a great player because he certainly can be. Probably just the rub of the green's probably gone to Reece a little bit, just because I think he's into his second year of like knowing us coaches. He understands it all, like the type of game that we're trying to play. And it's not that Freddie can't, but just Freddie's come back in at a time when we've been really impacted by injuries with all those guys around him. And what that means is like every week we're trying to build a game. Instead of building on the games, we're trying to rebuild at the start of the week to prepare to perform. And I think it's been bloody tough for Freddie.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot between them, mate. You've always got two class players in every position, and sometimes it's just a gut feel, and sometimes it's form, and sometimes you just want to change up. So
I guess it's quite a good position to have as a coach to be able to choose two
yeah,
players of such quality.
like Reece played so well that he made the Welsh squad. That
Yeah.
says something about him, and also too, like both of them are 82% goal kickers. So they're world class.
Pretty good, yeah. You sort of mentioned about players building their brands. and I wondered, there's sort of links to how much they get paid. Do you think they get paid enough to do what they do?
I think rugby's a bloody tough job. I never berate anyone that gets, whatever they get, they earn. I think they, it's agreed to. They deserve it. To be honest, like rugby's one of those sports. It's just so physically and mentally demanding, isn't it? Especially here in the Premiership, because these players get 4 weeks off, and then they go week in and week out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's Premiership or Champions Cup or Challenge Cup or Anglo Welsh or A League. I mean, it is very physically demanding and mentally tiring for them. And I just wonder whether that's one of the issues when you've got a smaller squad and you've got a massive amount of injuries. It's tough for these boys.
Yeah.
If I had my way, we would be playing less games.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, do professional rugby players need more rest?
Yeah, I think they do.
How would you propose that happened?
I'd probably be getting rid of one of the competitions that we play in.
The Anglo Welsh.
Yeah, and try and congest the season a little bit more, so that there is more downtime in the off season, so that these boys can actually rest and recover. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guts of performance really is around rest and recovery, isn't it? Like you play a massive match, and then the focus is like there's just like training to me is also on the flip side of training is rest and recovery. So the quicker you can rest and recover to get back, the better performance. The better you've got to back that up again with the performance. But when we've got 22-year-olds and 26-year-olds with, I would call, like my experiences in New Zealand, I've never seen the type of injuries that we're having here. I just wonder from an earlier age when these guys do come online, they do become young professionals, whether we're just asking too much from them both physically and mentally. And over time, it's probably gonna hurt.
Yeah. So do you think that rugby union has an injury crisis in general, not just Bath, but rugby as a whole?
I don't think it's an injury crisis. I think that in certain competitions it's different. I think like I only know New Zealand, and I know that they do have most of the injuries are collision. Mm-hmm. Because the game is just so physical, but because they get more time to rest and recover, the different types of injuries.
Okay.
But I think the whole, like the ball and play is going up every year. Like the ball and play has gone up since I think it was about 32 minutes, and now it's about 46. Mm-hmm. So the ball and play's gone up, so have the collisions.
So it's going to lead to more injuries.
Yeah, and then like last year there was a massive, the IRB changed the laws around the tackle, so everyone started tackling lower. And then what happens is people were tackling lower, putting chop tackles in, and suddenly they're getting their heads caught on knees, and the OHI thing went up through the roof. Yeah. And this season the HIA thing's gone down because everyone's focused on their technique, and the other thing is everyone's focused on neck strength. Mm-hmm. But I think the AHIA thing is certainly a concern.
Yeah.
Would never, as a coach, you don't ever want to be putting a player at risk. But the other thing is that all these things are now having a bit of an impact on performances and outcomes, because last season we lost a massive game, and it was because we had two HIAs to two props in the same position, and we had to play with 14. Yeah. Like, you're penalised for player welfare.
Yeah.
So it's a good challenge.
We've mentioned how brutal rugby is as a game. I wondered what you think motivates the players to get up every morning, train and play.
It's got to be the culture of the team. You've got to be there to be better. Like it's if you're there trying to earn a wage, or you're going to pay your mortgage off in professional sport, it's all for the wrong reasons, isn't it? Like you agree to contract, you agree to that, and then it's your responsibility to motivate yourself to turn out to be the best that you can be. So often I think that players turn up and they think they're trying to be, they're waiting for someone externally to motivate them. Like if a coach is telling them what they need to do to be the very best, they should be asking the coach what they need to do to be the very best. Yeah. You should turn up every day with a goal in mind. So, like a good goal I would be, if I was a young guy going into any team, would be I'm going to prepare today like I'm starting the game. And you can do that Monday through to Saturday, and you may not make the team, but at least you're preparing really well. And the other thing is you can be the best team man every day. You can be there and be a really good team man, because that should be the greatest prize and the greatest reward and accolade you can have from your teammates, because you're giving more. The other thing is that, like, even within like the rugby program, you can have certain goals around catch, pass, running lines, clean out work. Other goal you could have is that you never leave the field if you've made a mistake unless you auto-correct it. So something that happened at training, because that's where the real learning comes from.
Yeah.
Is that you can watch it, you can do your training, go back, review it, work on it, have a shower, leave better for it. So then the next day you turn up and you repeat that process again.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you can only get better Monday to Friday, and you can review everything you do Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
If you're just reviewing the game, probably within that game you're really only reviewing about 10 minutes of the week, aren't you?
Yeah, of what you're actually doing.
Yeah. So I think particularly here, I don't think that's even thought of. I think it's what are we doing today?
Okay.
Instead of this is what we're doing today. This is what I want to achieve today.
Okay. So next season, there's some big names both leaving and joining the club, and we've sort of talked about the attacking structure. I wondered, will Bath be looking to play in a different style next season?
No, we'll be looking to. We're going to bring in an attack coach.
Yeah.
So with Tabai leaving, it's a void that we never filled, and it probably shows at times. The other thing is that we actually changed our attack structure from last season, because it just wasn't working to a new one. And so, even next year, we'll be better for it. Like we're ahead of a whole season. You want to keep the same players so that we've got understanding around it. We've just got to do things, for continuity.
Yeah.
And we've just got to do things better. Like we've recruited one hell of a team for next year. Yeah, we know exactly where we're at. We know our deficiencies, and we're really clear on what the skill sets that we need to come in to really fire this team. So, there's big names leaving. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think that for a lot of players who've been here a long time, they probably need a change.
Yeah.
They probably don't know how good they've got it either. You probably don't appreciate just how lucky that they are to have what they've got. Whereas, like when you come in for the very first time, this is an unbelievable club. It really is. I think that the owners and the club at times get a lot of negativity put towards them, but we're actually going through a change, and I can only see good times ahead.
So this weekend, Bath take on Leicester at Twickenham in the clash. How are preparations going?
Really well, really good. I think on the back too of a disappointing month. The team on Monday is pretty emotional and fired up. I think that we've got to, the teams we've selected in the last couple of weeks, we're sort of held back a little bit on the team you're going to see on the weekend, and my feel is that this team will really want to go, but we want to actually play with some pride and really want to show everyone what we've got. And the occasion is bigger than us, because it's really about the Bath Foundation, and when you think about what those people, those young guys that you're going to see on the jersey, young guys and girls have, what they've had to endure, we've got a lot to play for. 65,000 West Country supporters there. We've got to fight. We've got to go.
Only 4 games left this season. What are the sort of main targets? Not only looking at sort of positions in the league, but
to me, it's our performances. We really need to get complete performances on the track. And play really good rugby, because I think that'll set us up and give us the foundation. If we end up the top 6, great. If we scrape into the top 4, I think it'll be fantastic. If we don't and we finish out the back, then it is what it is, and it's you get what you deserve, don't you? If you're not good enough to be in the top 6 in the Champions Cup, then you're not good enough. I actually think with the injuries that we've had, like when we played Benetton in the first Champions Cup game, we were injury ravaged, and on the back of that, we just got a win.
Yeah.
And then we went to Scarlets and played really bloody well.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah, it was
In the
really
rain.
good.
Yeah.
And then we played Toulon home and away and played really well. So we beat everyone in our pool.
Yeah.
We all beat each other. And then what happened on the back of that is it actually took too much out of us. Like we don't, with the injury impact and the physicality of those Challenge Cup games, and then we lost all those players, went to England as well.
Yeah.
It was, so that's what it sort of, it probably hit the guys that were left probably a little bit too early. You had a massive amount of injuries, and it had a massive impact on those games. Because you can't rest anyone.
Yeah. So that's why you think.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, do you then think competing in only, like, if you just said, oh, okay, scrap Europe, we're just going to focus on the Premiership, or?
We did a little bit of that last year, and we put ourselves in a really good position. We're a lot closer, you know. So last year it was Challenge Cup, and I would like to have gone to the final because I think we could have won that.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. But the Challenge Cup last year, we probably had a really good pool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the games weren't as tough as physical as what they were in the Prem. But when you get into Champions Cup, it just takes a little bit of time. You know, like I think most teams will just focus on the Premiership.
Yeah.
Like Exeter have just focused on the Premiership, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Sarries have went hard for Europe. Yeah, like they're a great side. But now they'll just focus on the Premiership.
Yeah.
I think teams pick and choose too. So you may have teams in your pool that are fighting to stay out of relegation, so they'll throw those games.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a bit of a pick and mix, isn't it?
When it might change halfway through because they might get some good results.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I think that's all of my questions.
Yeah, no, mate. Pleasure.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for some more interviews in the future.